My mother insists I invite strangers to my wedding because a ghost told her to.
Ghost told me this morning. I froze.
A ghost told me this morning.
Maybe you should listen to it. Might be more fun.
That's true. Also, trigger warning for mental health discussions and death. So, 28 female, and my fiance, Bjorn.
That's a name?
Isn't that the singer?
That's a name, guys.
Yeah, I said like
Bjorn?
the singer. Yeah, I agree.
Apparently,
it's a name.
you don't know Swedish people.
I don't. Sorry, Swedish people.
27 male are getting married May 31st, 2025.
Congrats.
We are very excited. We're currently hurrying to plan and arrange everything in the 4 short months we have left at master's programs in law schools. Have been kicking our butts and making planning everything impossible. Things have been largely, but not entirely, drama-free until now. So I thought I would get away just being able to laugh at other people's stories. Ooh, how naive I was.
Oh, it happened to you.
By the way, this comes from OKJob3978, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So all names are fake, and apologies in advance for any spelling errors. I'm very dyslexic.
Yay.
Some context. My mother, let's call her Mother, has been a bit weird my entire life. Being hyper health conscious, really into snake oil medicines, superstitiously religious, and overall difficult to predict and get along with for the entirety of my memory.
She sounds like a voodoo doctor.
It became clear that all of this was due to an undiagnosed mental health condition in 2021. After a very traumatic few months of chaos, she was involuntarily committed and she was diagnosed with bipolar 1 with psychotic elements.
But the more snake oil you drink, the less you have to worry about it.
You're just closer to passing away, I guess.
No.
Your life is shorter, so you have to worry about it for a shorter amount of period.
There we go.
It became clear at that point that she has been having delusions for many, many years, and that this was the source of her weird behaviors. Whatever else I say, I know that while she is indeed a bit of a Karen on her own, a lot of that is exacerbated by her condition, so be gentle in the comments. I still love my mama, even if she does occasionally drive me crazy. That fact, however, doesn't mean that she isn't still often a Karen and the center of drama and funny stories, one of which is actively in development right now.
Actively in development. Here it comes.
So as the title says, a ghost told my mom that I absolutely needed to invite 2 young women that are practically strangers to me to my wedding. Who are these strangers? Well, let me tell you. Backstory.
Yay!
Ooh, backstory noises.
Backstory.
Many years ago, when I was just a child, I was often babysat by a family friend of ours. Let's call her Tina. Tina had 6 children, and I became friends with 2 of her girls, Martha and Dot. Miss Tina was married to a police officer, Pat, who we found out many years later was violent and abusive towards her.
Oh.
She divorced him and left with her children when I was a teenager.
Yay!
At this point, I had already stopped spending time with Martha and Dot. Really, we were friends of circumstance because their mom used to babysit me. When I got old enough not to need babysitting around 11, we also stopped spending time together.
11.
11!
What about 11?
Oh, that's a good point too, Keon. But
What?
that's whenever you don't need babysitting?
Well, roughly. Yeah. I started babysitting at 12. So maybe that's when you become like,
whoa.
you switch from like camper to camp counselor. You know?
12? Well, I think my brothers can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. I just think that's young. I don't know why.
Well, no, I feel like it depends on.
You gotta be
I mean,
teenager, then you're good.
I think some parents will wait until their kid are like, 14 or something.
I'm just imagining talking to 12-year-old Sophia right now.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what that looks like.
Percy Jackson, Harry Potter.
Okay. I've had a hobby.
Am I
What's
wrong?
SpongeBob?
Am I wrong, though? Am I wrong?
What's a television?
I hadn't really kept up with their family until tragedy struck during my freshman year of college. Miss Tina, oh my gosh, had been unalived by her ex-husband in broad daylight with her 7-year-old in the car.
That's pretty violent.
It was horrible, and for months I grieved this kind lady that had taken such good care of me. That's awful. The next time I saw Martha and Dot was at their mother's funeral. We hugged, we wept, and we went our separate ways. That was 9 years ago. We haven't seen or spoken to each other before or since. Oh, and back to the current day. Today, what a
roller
vibe
coaster.
change.
What a royal. Oh, God,
You
that was a
can't
roller
just be
coaster.
like, this happened.
And then
Anyways.
she was murdered in her car while she was at the age of 7. This is pretty ghost, though.
Yeah, I
This
guess
is like,
so.
if you told me that, dude,
This
okay,
is
time out.
OP's like
Time out.
trauma ghost story. That's really awful.
You tell me this around a campfire, I'm terrified.
I mean, yeah.
Broad daylight. Also, don't say broad daylight. Do like it was rainy,
It was
Mercury,
Twilight. No,
midnight.
but this is a true story.
I was hoping for a ghost story. I need more ghosts.
Okay.
Anyways,
Well,
still terrifying.
I'm going ghost.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Sophie, but you did really just kind of switch back into, you were like,
You even included the wee.
SCZ, OP did add a trigger warning. We just added our own trigger warning, and so I didn't reread their trigger warning.
I'll put it in the.
The trigger warning was that we read it. First thing in the morning, I received a cryptic text from my mother that there was a very important matter she needed to discuss with me. Not being of the constitution or mood to entertain such vagaries, I pressed her to at least give me a topic of discussion. Though she did not want to give me specifics over the phone, she eventually let me know that she sometimes receives messages from the deceased and that she had received a task that she needed my help with. It's very ominous. You can imagine the depth of pucker my a-hole took on when I realized that my mom had been hearing voices again and that it had evidently been going on for some time. Now, my mom doesn't realize that the calls are coming from inside the house, so to speak, or at least she chooses not to believe that they are. In fact, she firmly believes that she is the Catholicest Catholic lady to ever Catholic, and thus she is of course holier enough than thou to have been gifted with the ability to see visions and dream dreams and hear the voice of God and the angels while she hangs out in the living room.
Dude.
I feel like the more religious that you are, the more receptive you would be to,
This is true.
to believing in this, ghosts and all of that stuff because it's already close.
Yeah. I have been around people that can hear the Holy Spirit and they're like pretty tight with them.
Pretty tight.
Pretty tight.
So like, how do it's like if you believe in that already, it would probably be a harder jump to make.
And then my thought
That
process is
it's actually mental health.
why, if you're around that and you believe in the spiritual warfare, why are you opening yourself up to that stuff?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Well, I mean, she's clearly mentally ill, so it's like
Yeah.
really
But, like,
tricky.
You don't need to do that, girl. You're good.
she
Just
needs some therapist. She needs psychiatric help.
Oh, man.
To be clear, I am also Catholic and I love my faith, and I do believe that there is a supernatural side to the world. I also just don't believe that my mother has any access to it, considering the most of the holiest saints were never gifted with visions, and she is anything other than holy or saintly. Think very charming, but very judgmental old church lady. Well, apparently Miss Tina has been telling her that Martha and Dot have lost their way and that my mother must intervene. How does she know this? Why, Facebook, of course. What's actually happening is that she has seen them posting on Facebook and doesn't approve of their lifestyle. So now her delusions are giving her an excuse to insert herself.
Ooh. So what did she make about their lifestyle? An opinion?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an opinion, what do you do with it?
You keep it to yourself.
Exactly. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Except she doesn't want to insert herself. She wants to insert me. Specifically, she wants me to rekindle our friendship that ended when I was about 11 years old. More specifically, she wants me to invite them to my wedding in 4 months. How? I mean, again, this woman clearly has like many mental health issues, but how just awful would it be if OP does invite these girls to her wedding and then her mom goes and kind of like goes over to them and is like, oh, your mother who passed away very violently told me that she doesn't approve of your lifestyle. Like that would be so awful.
Change your
Like definitely do not invite these girls to your wedding because your mom's going to,
or
traumatize them.
Hail Mary. The mom might be saving their lives.
Or if we actually thought about that there is a ghost. No. Now, of course, I told her no. I don't know these women at all at this point. I haven't spoken to them in almost 20 years. I have no reason to invite them to my wedding, and they have no reason to come. More than that, we already have too many people. Between Bjorn's normal-sized American family, my gigantic Cuban family, and the few friends we were able to squeeze in, we're at 140 people. We only wanted like 75, but my parents offered to help us pay so that they could invite more of the family because family, I guess.
Family. Fast and Furious. Family.
Whatever, they're paying for it, so it honestly is fine. However, as generous as they're being, and they are being very generous, the economy and weddings being what they are, the venues we can afford are rather small, and 140 really is the cap of people we can invite. So if I invite Martha and Dot, they will have nowhere to sit as well as we will be capacity. I told her both things when she demanded to know why my immediate response was a firm no. First, she had insisted that we had been good friends and hung out on a regular basis. She would be correct about that, except for a critical detail that the regular basis was specifically when our parents were either at church or doing something church-related together. Also, again, our friendship had not survived my need to be actively supervised, so I wouldn't harm myself. She then asked if she could replace 2 family members, her aunt and uncle, that she had insisted I invite with these 2 young women. So she just keeps adding more people. She's like, first I need to invite these 2 girls because their mom has a message for them. And also your aunt and uncle, just because I've got some other messages I've got to pass on. It's kind of like a back order. Voicemail type situation.
And I need everyone there in one place so I can just go ahead and let them know.
I think also my masseuse is going to come.
My dog walker.
Yeah.
Go ahead and add him in there. I got a message for him.
Yeah. Now, I have already sent out the save the dates. And though I haven't sent out the invitations yet, I know I'm running out of time. I'm working on it. I can't just not send an invitation at this point, though, as they may have gotten flights and hotels already. They live in another state.
Weird. Also, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
The way she's handing out like these, like, I have messages for you. It feels like The Godfather.
I haven't seen The Godfather.
So in The Godfather, first scene.
Yeah.
It's
You come in here.
I've seen Zootopia though, so it feels like the same thing.
Yeah, so it's like the daughter's wedding and what people can do.
You saw Zootopia? I mean, I've seen it too, and I know you're talking about, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
It's the scene, the wedding's happening, and people come to the father, and is like asking him favors.
Mhm.
Come in here,
the day of my daughter's wedding.
the day of my daughter's wedding, and they ask for like, whatever.
Yeah.
And he'll grant it and he'll wish it. This feels like that.
It feels like she's
You're
got
the Godfather.
she's got a little notebook full of messages from like the beyond, and she's like, line up. And Opie's actively getting married. She's like, I'm just gonna be over the corner. Don't mind me. You won't even hear me.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Thanks. Yeah.
Also, I want to do that at my daughter's wedding, but 3D printing.
You're just handing out.
What do you
3D
want?
printing-
What do you want me to 3D print you?
What can I get you? I'm gonna learn some sort of craft, and I'm just gonna set up a little craft in the corner,
You already have one.
like balloon animals. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go through with the rest of the story, do you guys believe in ghosts?
I don't. I know you do.
Yes, in a way. I believe in the spiritual warfare that people go through.
Okay.
I am
All right, non-believer.
I'm skeptic. The only thing that I am superstitious about is knocking on wood because my mom always does it. And she's really instilled
Are
that
you
in me.
serious?
Knock on wood.
But anyway, we've got more story to read. So that's what I told my mom, and that I would need them to RSVP no before I could say that their seats were empty. She responded that they had told her that they weren't coming and that the invitation was just a courtesy, and therefore I could use those 2 spots for other people. Wait.
Okay.
Oh, what? So the mom already invited these 2 girls?
Weird.
That's what it seems like.
Weird.
Now, while my mother is a bit confused, I know full well that this is not United Airlines flight number 53125 and that overselling seats is very much against policy. So I responded that I was not going to just assume they were not coming. I was going to send the invitation that, again, she had insisted I send, and then I was going to wait for the RSVP. My mom responded that they had told her they were not coming. Now, I have been in many of these he said, she said situations before where communication through a middleman goes wrong and everyone ends up confused and people you didn't expect end up where you didn't expect them. Given that and the aforementioned fact that this is not a United Airlines flight, I have been extremely insistent that I hear directly from guests if they want to be taken off any lists or if they want to RSVP anything for anything. A fact which I reiterated to her in the moment, and that if her aunt and uncle RSVP no with me, then yes, their spots would technically be empty, but I was not just going to take her word for it. Okay, so to Claire, I understand now. It seems like it's not the 2 girls that had already said they were talk to. It's OP's mom talked to the aunt and uncle and already kind of invited them, and they already said no. But OP's like, no, I'm going to RSVP, or I'm going to make them RSVP so they don't just show up. And I'm like, not.
I see.
That's what it seems like it's
I
happening.
see.
Well, that was my first mistake, because how dare I not trust her to give me accurate information and to disbelieve her when I only know these people through her, and they talked to her and they told her that they aren't coming. Apparently, my desire to do things a certain way in order to preserve my own sanity and avoid avoidable issues is controlling. Which, yes, it is. And I'm fine with it. You're allowed to be controlling because it's your wedding.
Yep, you could pick that day. That's your day.
Jolly Toaster says the mom insisted that the aunt and uncle get invited previously and was planning to replace them with the two girls. Oh, without confirming whether the aunt and uncle were coming. Got you. Thank you.
So we have 2 spots.
Yes.
RSVP them. Oh, they can't make it. We'll just invite those girls.
Yeah. And so she's saying, oh, I can't. Okay. So basically, it's just assuming that the aunt and uncle can't really make it. But OP's like, no, I don't want 4 people to show up. So let's double check. I see. And I'm fine with that. This is my wedding, and short of being a bridezilla, I will be as controlling as necessary to ensure that things go smoothly and there are no miscommunications. I have no wedding planner. It's just me. Therefore, everything needs to go through me and no one else going forward. And I am completely okay with that. Being okay with being controlling was, of course, my second mistake. Why? Because this is not my wedding, but merely a wedding in the family, at which I happened to be getting married. Yes, I did point out that my mother had just described my wedding. Then she shouted that I told her months ago that she could invite an extra 10 to 15 people, and that now I was going back on my word.
Oh!
A wild accusation, as I had never said any such thing. She probably got that in a message, though.
Yeah.
She probably heard that from the voice of God or something.
The voice is beyond.
Yeah, she's like, sorry, so I must have gotten that mixed up.
Oh, that was meant for someone else.
Yeah. Even checked with my dad, who was present at the conversations, and he agreed that I never said any such thing. What I had said was that I needed to know who they, my parents, wanted to invite so that I could have a head count while looking for venues. They said it would be no more than 10 to 15 people. It was way more than that. And I had told them that they needed to give me named people that I had had interactions with within the past 10 years.
There we go.
They gave me the names at that point. I asked them repeatedly if that was everyone. They both repeatedly responded yes. I told them at the time that this was their last chance, as I was going to send out save the dates, and I did not want to edit the guest list any further at that point. They both responded that there was no one else. They even had me take certain people that I had assumed I needed to invite off the list because we don't have much of a relationship with them. I reminded her of this fact. Well, that was my third mistake, because how dare I tell her who she can and cannot invite when she's the one paying for everything.
Oh, okay.
There we go. It's always using the money.
The money.
Whenever they pay, they think they can control your whole wedding. No such thing as a free lunch, man. She isn't. My dad is, and he agrees that I shouldn't invite Dot and Martha. Also, Bjorn's parents are helping too. That I am, of course, a terrible daughter who doesn't care about her and what she wants and needs, and now I'm telling her who she can and can't invite with her invitations. That her aunt and uncle aren't coming, and I have no right to tell her who she can give those seats to. When I reminded her that I definitely can tell her who can and can't come, because this is, again, my wedding.
And you're not paying for it.
Yeah, and you're not paying for it. The dad is, and OP's fiance's parents are.
Yeah, so shut up.
She shouted that then she won't come to the wedding and was going to return her mother of the bride dress. She can't. She bought it 2 years ago, 2 seconds after the engagement.
Aww.
It's a long engagement.
That's also cute.
That's very sweet. She ordered me to take her off the guest list. She's like, fine, take me off.
I'm done.
But can we put Martha and Dot back on? Can we
go.
use my spot? Because Mother of the Bride's worth like 2 spots, right?
Dude, if you really need to get this message going, just go meet them.
Yeah, honestly, you can call them and you say, hey. Now, this is a tactic she uses a lot, and one she has used throughout my entire life. I set a boundary and keep it, and she throws a fit and cancels the trip, or leaves me at home while she takes my siblings out, or she cancels a play date or birthday party, or she doesn't show up to something important, etc. She even did it to my big sister several times when we were planning her wedding. Then she ended up actually going and then sabotaged the walk down the aisle, and my dad didn't get to walk my sister. My sister lurks here, and she'll probably see this. Hi, sissy. It has always hurt when she has done this, but this time around, I was just tired and frankly fed up. What happened next is what I think sent her over the edge. I'm just really quick. It feels like we walked away from the whole ghost thing.
I was about to say.
You know, like it feels like that was, whoa, she's talking to ghosts. And OP was like, well, now she's making me invite aunt and uncle. Like maybe we should go call a doctor.
Yeah.
I feel like it's less, oh, she's being annoying. It's like maybe we should call a doctor.
Or my thought was, ghost thing. I'm going to get these two girls again here. What we're going to do is they're going to find the richest people at this wedding. They're going to follow them to their houses, steal their jewelry, and then I'm going to be a millionaire.
And blame it on the ghost.
Blame it on, and then bring the ghost back.
It's also an option, I suppose.
Actually, don't do that because ghosts will get upset. Never mind.
They're resting in peace. Well, those aren't. But, I feel like it's a distraction. There's another plan amongst that we don't know about.
Yeah,
There's about to be a twist.
She's trying to throw you off her scent.
Don't worry. I'll do my okay story time for those who don't know.
I told her that she didn't have to be there if she didn't want to be, and that she had the ability to return her dress if that was what she wanted to do. I also let her know that if she did choose not to come to my wedding over such a silly argument, that she would be nuking any relationship she and I have going forward.
I was going to name a nuke name.
All right. That went over like a lead balloon filled with mercury.
You're a nuke.
Thank you.
When you let it rip.
That's a heavy balloon right there.
Yeah.
She responded that we clearly don't have a relationship since I don't care about her feelings and I don't want to listen to my mother. Read as obey her. She then stomped off into her room and refused to discuss things further. Now, let's be honest. To a degree, she is correct. I don't care about her feelings on this. He's like, yeah, you're right. You cannot show up and it will be fine.
Actually, I don't want you to show up, so.
Yeah, do a little reverse psychology. Be like, actually, you're not invited anymore.
Yo, and then she'd be like, I demand! I bought this dress 2 years ago! I can't return it!
And then you're like, okay, you can come.
I don't want to go.
She can be mad if she wants to. In fact, she can put on a cape so she could be super mad. That was funny. However, that isn't going to change the size of the venue, nor will it change the fact that Bjorn and I are adamant that we are surrounded only by friends and family that we care about and who care about us on the day of our wedding. In fact, as of a few months ago, when I asked my parents if there were any more people they wanted to add to the guest list, any more edits became 2 yeses, 1 no, meaning that either both of us agree or neither of us agree. He also does not want to invite strangers to our wedding. Oh, any more edits became 2 yes. Oh, okay. So basically saying that if OP's parents wanted to add more people, both OP and her fiance would have to agree.
Yes. Dude, you let that be the basis of your relationship.
Yeah.
Then whenever it comes to other things, you both have to agree on it.
It's just unanimous.
I love this. Okay, I like that part.
What if you both can't agree?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Well, sort of like, hey babe, I want to buy this table. It's like, I agree. And then you both get it.
Okay. And
that kind of thing.
You don't agree, you just don't get a table.
Yeah. You don't like, I bought the table. It's like, I bought a puppy, bring it home, and the wife's like, what? Like, we didn't talk about this. She's like, it's okay, I agreed on it. But you both had to talk about it. I love it. The communication.
Yeah. Therefore, there will be no strangers at our wedding. Now, knowing that my mom was likely going to tell my dad that I had uninvited her from my wedding, I went to him to explain the situation first. He was bewildered, but was adamant that the financial help he had promised was not going to be rescinded based on my mother's decisions. Something I was very grateful for. Then I went and complained to Bjorn about what was going on. He was also exhausted to hear it, but said that from this point forward, I should blame him for this and any other no's I have to get the heat off of my back. I get where he's coming from since I still live with my parents and he still lives with his. Apartments are expensive and mom and dad are not. So he doesn't need to deal with it in the same way. It's unfortunate though, because we have been trying to rehabilitate his relationship with my parents for months. He didn't do anything. My mom is just mad that she doesn't get as much control over my life since he's been in my life. I can't find fault in his logic though. After talking to my maid and matron of honor, my best friend and my sister, I sat down with both my parents the same evening. I didn't gather them. They just both happened to be in the same room, and I wanted my dad there so that my mom and I wouldn't remember the conversation differently. Something which happens quite often. Yeah, you need the third party to take notes. You need the court reporter in the room who's just like, and you're like, okay, well, see, if you refer to page 4 You'll see that I never said that.
I'm always impressed by how fast those people can type.
I mean, the shorthand is such an interesting.
Oh, they shorthand it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm pretty sure that I don't know if it's specifically shorthand, but I know that it's like shorthand.
Yeah, I've seen someone do shorthand before. I could probably kill at shorthand. I'm pretty good at typing.
I explained that Dot, Martha, and I are not friends, and we weren't even that good friends as children. And that as much responsibility as my mom feels towards Miss Tina, I was not going to invite them to my wedding. I also pointed out that if the goal is to rekindle my friendship with them, inviting them to my wedding was never going to accomplish that. It's not like I will have enough time to catch up with them and talk about life. I will be busy enjoying my wedding and celebrating with Bjorn and my besties. I reminded her that her last opportunity for input into the guest list was given, and explained as the last opportunity several months ago. She insists that I'm gaslighting her and that I changed the rules all of a sudden. I apologize for any misunderstanding or miscommunication, but reiterated that these have been the rules the entire time, and that Bjorn also doesn't want to invite strangers to our wedding. In fact, if her aunt and uncle aren't coming, we have actual friends that we would have liked to invite but didn't have the room for. Furthermore, I told her how hurt I was that she would try to manipulate me by threatening not to come to my wedding, and I found that extremely nasty and mean.
And the mom's going to be like, I see where you're coming from. Thank you for bringing this up in such a respectful manner. I see my wrongdoings, and I'm going to change my ways.
I'm going to change the error of my ways. Or I've seen the error of my ways.
Right.
I shall be a better person going forward and a better mother.
Dude, if you betted that for $20, you'd be a millionaire, because that's definitely not going to happen.
That's exactly where it's going. Man, oh man.
How do you even your mom's off the rocker? You just low contact, or just you're not coming?
Well, I feel like it is really tricky in this situation because I think that OP has, beyond the beginning of the story, OP has kind of glossed over the fact that her mom is, has bipolar and has, I think, with psychotic 1 or something. So that is a pretty relevant part of why she is acting this way. So I do think that a certain level of grace has to be, or it seems like OP is giving her mother a certain level of grace because she is so yeah, okay, fine, mom, that's how you're gonna act,
and that's how she keeps her sanity. I would lose my sanity.
Yeah, which is, it's really hard because
she's pretty tied up on this one thing.
I think I'm sure that OP's already, or that her family has already kind of been getting her mother to help, it seems.
Yeah.
But yeah, that must be really tricky, trying to deal with someone who is kind of being very unreasonable, but also trying to hold space for the fact that they, are mentally ill.
Yeah.
She is my mom and will always have a seat at my wedding, but she has the choice as to whether or not her butt is in that seat. Well, it was a mistake, but to tell her that I have real friends, because since those seats were for her family, then she should be able to fill them with whoever she wants. That is not the case and was never the case. I have always had final veto power over invitations from my side of the family, and she knew that. She then started screaming that if I have a good relationship with her, why did my dad need to be there since I wasn't addressing him at all? Why didn't I trust her to know what was being said? Apparently, it was the greatest of insults to say that I wanted someone else in the room to help de-escalate things if they started to get out of hand. Then she mentioned that we had been to Dot and Martha's older sister's wedding several years ago, so we had to invite them. When I pointed out that if she wanted to fulfill that courtesy, then we actually needed to invite the sister and her husband. Mom responded that that would be too many people and that we should invite the younger sisters instead. Flawless logic, right? Well, I said no, and she stormed off again, saying that I could do what I wanted. It's my wedding and that her opinions clearly don't matter. Correct.
But that was with sarcasm.
Yeah.
This is so frustrating.
Very frustrating. Oh, he's just trying to have a wedding, man. All of that happened 2 days ago, and she has not in any way let it go. She has refused to talk to me most of the day and has broken the silence only to send me obnoxious numbers of screenshots of the Instagrams of various people that I had been friends with as a child, but that she thinks were and are good friends. She's like, you have to invite Timmy from 3rd grade. You had a play date one time.
Remember that one time he caught a frog for you?
Oh, you gotta invite Timmy.
Such a good frog catcher.
I am now very worried that she's going to pull some sort of shenanigans and try to invite them herself, or else make my life and my wedding difficult for me. She is known to be a meddler and tends to sabotage things. I refer back to my sister's wedding. And I don't want to deal with this right now. I'm trying to throw together a wedding in 4 months' time, and I don't need the drama. More than that, though, I'm just so tired. I've been dealing with my mother's various behaviors for years, and it's starting to get really heavy. What makes it worse is that this is all fueled by her sickness. She's only being like this because she thinks that the spirits of the deceased come to her to ask her to do tasks on earth so that they can move on and enter heaven, or else people in heaven are asking her to do things from them on earth. She thinks that by refusing her, I am refusing to help Miss Tina find peace, and that is clearly driving her insane. I can't even be mad at her because she can't be rational about this. And it makes me sad because I am clearly causing her much distress in insisting on my boundaries. Oh, Jolly Toaster says, I repeat, you cannot rationalize with irrational people. Yes, unfortunately, I think regardless of whether or not you put up boundaries, she would still find some way to be upset with you.
Yeah.
And so I think, right, it's the best way is to make sure that for your, for your own sanity and for making sure that you have a relationship with your mother in the future, I think you have to put up those boundaries because otherwise you're just not going to be able to be around her.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, she's being intentionally hurtful and manipulative when she says that I don't care about her or that she isn't coming to my wedding. It all just makes me so sad and frustrated, especially because we had made it to 4 months out with relatively little drama. And now the drama comes with interest. I don't need advice. I just need to vent. I will update things as we get nearer and nearer to the wedding. Thank you for reading. By the way,
Go ahead, start again.
I advise you to listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app like iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story.
Is there more? The wedding date is getting closer. There might be an update.
There's gotta be a little bit more.
It's happening in May.
That's almost.
It's gotta be May.
Here. Also, I'm going to a wedding in May, fun fact.
Yeah. I'm not.
I'm sorry. You could get married in May.
Ooh. I'm just gonna find a person on the street.
There we go. Hey, let's go.
Hey.
Going to Vegas.
I'll be like, do you want to go to a wedding? And they're like, that sounds great. And I'm like, perfect. That's us.
that is a movie idea.
Yeah,
That's a script.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I really need someone to go to a wedding with me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a script. The person goes on like a dating app or something. They're like, hey, need a +1 for a wedding. And then the person shows up, they're getting married.
Yo, I've seen it. There is a movie about that.
But they're like, oh my God, this is crazy. What are you doing? But it was a whole kind of long road trip movie. And they bonded on that road trip. And then they get married.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah,
with this mom.
Right. The story.
Do you think we need to give her a buddy at the wedding?
Absolutely. If she goes to it seems like she just needs that in general, but I think the dad hopefully would be that person.
Are they married?
They're married still, yeah. They live together. So I think maybe if you talk to your dad, because he seems pretty reasonable, and said like, hey, can I put this on you to make sure that mom is
I'm gonna need you to
looked after, or do we need another person to do that? Like, what do you need? Because I don't want to have to be worrying about her.
Yikes, dude. I'm sorry you're going through this, OP.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Is there another one?
Well, there's a little bit more. Edit. I've seen this come up several times in the comments, so I'm going to put this here. In the US, you have to be very sick before control or information about your care can be given over to someone else. In the case of my mother, she is legally not sick enough for my dad and I to have any information about her care, including who her doctor is and what her diagnosis is.
Interesting.
I only know because I snooped in her paperwork a couple of years ago. I mean, yeah, the process to get like conservatorship or something is pretty difficult. Unless you have a bunch of money, I suppose.
If you have a diagnosis like that, why would you hide it?
Well, probably, it's part of your illness and stuff.
Okay.
You don't want, and also you probably, a lot of people, even if they know that they have this diagnosis, don't want to lose autonomy. Because that's already it's like a scary thing. And Ezekiel says, did your mom make that sweater? No, my friend bought it for me for Christmas a couple years ago. I do know that she doctor shopped until she could convince someone that she only had anxiety and she was taken off most of her medications. At this point, unless she starts threatening harm to herself or someone else or starts doing genuinely dangerous things, there really isn't anything I can do. Having delusions that deceased people are talking to her and getting angry about it doesn't meet the criteria. I am thinking, though, that I'm going to speak to her priest about this and see if maybe he can calm her down a bit. Thanks to everyone who expressed concern. There just isn't a lot that can be done from a medical angle at this point.
Exercise her.
But that is the end of the story.
Oh, man.
Katie Paladin says mom should still be on bipolar meds. I think OP agrees with that, but unfortunately...
She has snake oil.
Unfortunately, it seems like she does not want to be put on those meds. And is actively fighting against that.
To save myself from a headache, I would go no low contact until after the wedding.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just imagine every day, the 2 girls are coming, the 2 girls are coming, the 2 girls are coming. It's something else.
I think low contact until the wedding makes sense. Like, you're not cutting her out at all, and definitely not in the future, but
no.
Just right now with her constantly kind of making this a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really tough. It's very tough because it also seems like OP still has a lot of like love for her
and
mom,
care.
because she says like she's a charming woman. It's just she has these moments where, you know. Josephine says bipolar 1, not psychotic 1. Bipolar 1 includes psychotic tendencies. I think that I might have missed. I think it said bipolar
it
psychotic
said
1.
both, yeah.
But
But if that could be also the case.
But that probably is the more correct way to say it, Josephine. I think this is just how OP said it.
Got it.
But that is the end of the story.
Sweet.
Do we have another one to read? My wife spoiled Mother's Day because she won't give in to my mother-in-law.
Don't you know that that's the day you legally have to do everything she says?
That's a good point.
Wait, unless you're also a mom. Then they cancel out.
My mother-in-law is an annoying person to say in the nicest way. She has extremely low self-worth, and she compensates that by forcing the world to go around her. By the way, this comes from Phone Routine, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, as a family who interact with her regularly, we are forced to treat her like a queen. Every day, every minute. If we don't, then there will be drama. All the way from pouting, going to her room, fainting, leaving the house to full-blown breakdown, including saying, "Why should I live on this planet anymore if no one cares about me?"
That's an interesting philosophical question, and one that should be answered with just self-worth.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you care about yourself, then that should be cool.
So to see an old lady say she's going to end herself just because we don't give her a few minutes of attention is a bizarre thing to witness. So it's exhausting to be around her, but what else can my wife and sister-in-law do? She's their mom, and they both try their darn best to make her feel special. But they would also just like to interact with her as their mom, too. Not just as some out-of-touch royalty. They would like to crack jokes, chat about general things, and share their problems, not have to be constantly worried what statement might tick her off.
Yeah.
When they were kids in her orbit, things were fine as she controlled them, and that made her feel she is in the center of attention. Now they are married and have a family of their own, and that she is not the anchor of the family. She has started becoming more and more demanding that we perform some elaborate rituals to make her feel special. That's extremely exhausting. She's like, "Okay, now bring me on the palanquin, please."
She's like doing like the Bohemian Grove, like Illuminati ritual. She's like, "And now you must burn an effigy to the Tolmec owl god.
You must sacrifice a lamb and drink its blood.
No!
So to the actual event itself. Mother-in-law and father-in-law have traveled to our country and are staying with us for a short time to help us with the kids as we all live halfway across the globe. My wife planned an elaborate Mother's Day event centered around mother-in-law, even though she herself is a mom too. One of the plans included lunch at a popular ethnic cuisine restaurant. By the way, had she not planned it herself, there would have been a snarky comment at the end of the day saying, "Seems like you don't care about your mom enough to plan something for me. I was waiting the whole day for you to do something." Anyway, morning went uneventfully as we had been pampering the grown-up toddler, and mother-in-law was quite jubilant. We got to the restaurant, and I and our elder one go in to set up the table as my wife is bringing the others, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and our little one. My 2-year-old, the real toddler, decides to throw a tantrum for toddler reasons. But then mother-in-law sees this beautiful garden in front of the restaurant and wants my wife to take her a pic. Mother-in-law doesn't care about anything and forces my wife to take several pics as my wife is holding a crying, fussing, and kicking toddler on her hip.
What a whack thing to make somebody do.
Very, very strange. Having basked in the glory of being the center of attention, mother-in-law is satisfied enough and they all come in. My wife is ticked from the events, but tries her best to be cheerful. The waiter comes in to take the order, and right then, mother-in-law decides to go to the restroom. My wife asks her to order before going, as the kids will get hangry if we wait for long. The big mistake my wife did was asking in a normal tone, a regular conversational tone instead of pleading or pleasing pampering tone. How dare my wife order her royalty on what to do? That was strike one. As me and my wife are looking at the bazillion choices and trying to order for the kids, ourselves, spice level, etc., we got absorbed into ordering without paying attention to the most important person. Mother-in-law was in the center of attention for 2 full minutes. How dare we? That's strike two. We didn't notice that and ask her what she wants. She asks if they have a particular ethnic dish, which is a regular staple we have almost every day at home, like a grilled cheese. That too in a different meek tone. She was indirectly implying that she's just a nobody because of strike 1 and 2. So she's ordering some peasant food.
I cannot stand people like this.
She sounds infuriating.
She's the kind of person who's like, if I feel bad, I want everyone around me to feel
gonna
bad.
Have a terrible day today.
Mm-hmm.
That was our cue to realize our mistake, prostrate before her, beg her forgiveness, and bring the world back into alignment before things go downhill. We fail to notice that change in tone, which is strike 3. Instead, my wife suggests, Mom, we have that almost every day at home, so why don't you... Mother-in-law cuts her off, saying, I know that. Are you saying I don't know that? And storms off to the restroom.
I'm implying it because you just asked to order it at the restaurant.
It's like, why don't we try something new? We all are figuring out what the F happened, and there goes the phone.
Oh.
My hand hurts.
Oh.
We all are figuring out what the F happened, and we finish ordering. Mother-in-law comes back and unloads onto my wife how she disrespected her. We brought her to this country, and ever since then, my wife has made it her mission to do nothing but continuously humiliate her, and mother-in-law starts crying.
So I think the perfect way to deal with this is to treat her like a toddler and just ignore her.
Yeah. Like, okay, Mom, if you're going to have a tantrum. I quickly realized what had conspired, but my innocent wife, whose heart is only filled with love and not such evil games, doesn't realize the drama mother-in-law wants. Instead, she's trying to understand how suggesting that the dish is a regular staple at home is humiliating. And mother-in-law goes, You're implying I'm dumb and don't even know this. You've ruined Mother's Day. All daughters do special things on Mother's Day, and here you are ruining mine.
Oh my God.
And a few other delectable quotes.
If I could just pop my eyes out and roll them around, that's how hard I want to roll my eyes right now.
Roll those eyes.
I want to roll them down a bowling alley.
This is pretty exhausting. I mean,
Eyes will roll.
This is probably what
Eyes will roll.
wife has been going on, going through her whole life, but OP's just sitting there like...
And she's just been conditioned to be like, yeah, I guess I have to handle this.
And OP's like, no.
So yeah, that's the solution is straight up ignoring.
Yeah.
Don't play into this.
My wife says again and again, that's just a regular thing to say to your mom. But mother-in-law is adamant that my wife humiliated her by implying she's dumb for not knowing it's a staple dish we regularly eat at home. And well, now I'm not entirely convinced that you did know that. Because you've really been honing in on the fact that, I'm not dumb. I know this.
I'm not dumb, and I know the thing that you said I'm not dumb.
It feels like you might not have known.
Yes, I know we eat that every day.
The lady doth protest too much. And storms off to sit outside. Seriously, that was the entire discussion for a full 5 minutes. It was extremely bizarre to see a 60-year-old woman throw a tantrum and accuse her daughter because she said, it's a regular staple we had to eat at home. Normally, we'd run after her, apologize, and beg her to come back and keep apologizing throughout the lunch, which is what she wanted after 3 strikes. But this time, we were so over this BS, having been through similar ones many times, we just sat and ate in peace without an extra side of drama. But my wife was heartbroken. She does all this planning, wanting to be a good daughter, wanted her mom to feel special, and in the end has ruined Mother's Day by talking to her mom as a mom and not as royalty. So a 60-year-old woman started crying in the middle of lunch rush in a popular restaurant, all because we didn't give her attention for 5 minutes while we were busy ordering food for kids. There are hundreds of such stories, but this one is the clearest WTF that happened. And edit, my wife is a very sweet person who believes there is goodness in everyone. She's been annoyed by mother-in-law's behavior and had been tipping around at this point, which I was actually surprised by. But being the good-natured person she has decided that she will continue to make her mom happy, whether that actually makes her mom happy or not.
Oof.
But you know what will make you happy? listening to full episodes of stories just like this, just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
Therapy, therapy, therapy. Everybody needs therapy. Da, 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 da.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. That sentence was crazy what they said. Like they find goodness in like everyone. What are they, Luke Skywalker? They're like, there's still good in him.
They're still good.
Like, mom
She's
needs...
still got good
Mom
qualities.
needs therapy. Opie's wife honestly needs therapy to learn how to handle her mom.
And she would probably be more receptive to it. I doubt the mom's going to go do anything
No.
because even implying the mom needs therapy, she'll be like,
Yeah, she'll be
how
like, what?
dare you say that
You're
to
too
me?
saying I'm crazy?
Oh. Yeah, mom, that's not a normal reaction.
But there is a little bit left of the story. She wants to be a good daughter and believes it's her duty to do that.
Therapy.
She will continue to roll the boulder uphill every day, whether it reaches the top or not. And
Therapy.
we know that it never will.
Sisyphus.
It's her mom, and she believes that is the right thing to do, so I'm fine with it. I will not try to change that because 30 or 40 years later, when she looks back, she will not remember what her mom did to her. All she will remember is what she did in response, and she tried her best to be a good daughter, and I believe that will give her peace. Comments. Comment 1. I think that even though your wife did put a lot of effort into that lunch, I think your mother-in-law just wanted an excuse just to get her way and basically make herself feel better by putting your sister-in-law and wife down just for her amusement. I think that it's not only just trying to make her feel better, but I think it's more like she enjoys the attention and enjoys people pampering her. I hate to say it, there's going to have to be a come to Jesus moment with both sister-in-law and your wife because she's probably going to say something or do something that's going to be a powder keg, and then all hell's going to break loose. The nearest, not just going to be afraid, it's going to be a massacre. OP says, this is just 100% true. It's as if you live with us. My sister-in-law has been the black sheep since she was young, so she doesn't give mother-in-law much attention and puts her down often. Sometimes it gets so bad that they won't talk to each other for a week while living together in a small 2-bedroom apartment. But then again, we are Asian and have a close relationship with our parents. It's not easy to give up on your mom. Sister-in-law and mother-in-law have this relationship like two people who love and hate each other and break up and get together every few weeks. My wife was the doting child, so it's hard for her to give up on mother-in-law. She isn't looking for approval from mother-in-law, at least not anymore, but she genuinely wants her mom to be happy and will keep trying forever. I don't think my wife will ever have a come to Jesus moment. She will just keep trying to make her happy as long as both of them are alive. Pretty sure my wife will continue to even after mother-in-law passes away.
Which is why we need therapy. Therapy.
You're saying it like a Pokemon.
Therapy. OP replies, true words of wisdom right here. You can't fix it because it's not actually broken. It's exactly what mother-in-law wants. And that is the end of that story. But yeah, therapy. Big time.
I'm just thinking of all of the moves, if therapy was a Pokemon, the moves that it would use.
I choose therapy.
I choose therapy. Use communication.
Therapy, use Chamber of Reflection. It's super effective.
Therapy. Use self-control.
Opposing Pokemon is now confused.
Therapy.
What's the evolution of therapy? Therapist.
Couples therapy.
Therapist.
Therapist. No, that's a final evolution.
Psychiatry.
Oh no, yeah. No. All right. Let's continue. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I'll
We
keep
did it.
working on it. But that's the end of that episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you
And
see you tomorrow.